Hey guys, David Robinson here. Welcome to the Lead Sponsor Podcast. We've got another great guest for you today. I'm excited to have Dustin Miles with me on the podcast today. Dustin is the managing partner at Momentum Multifamily based out of Dallas, Texas. And over the last 10 years or so, Dustin and his team have acquired over 1,900 units at this point, with a total purchase value of 180 million, a little over 180 million. They've also taken 7 deals full cycle, and they have a great track record of performance on those deals. And so I'm excited to get into my conversation with Dustin today. He talks a little bit about his background and sort of how he was exposed to the commercial multifamily space. He had some experience doing some fix and flips and some small rental properties and really wanted to scale up. And he actually got started early on in the multifamily space back in roughly 2013. Talks about how his mind was sort of opened up as he got in closer proximity to people that were doing bigger deals, and how he realized that, hey, if those guys can do it, I can do it too. He started out investing passively as a KP, talks about that experience. And then he talks about how he's built his business and some of the relationships and partnerships that he's formed that have helped him to get to where he's at today. We also talk about his mindset and thoughts on the market as the market is starting to shift right now. And he talks about how he's adjusted his approach and how his investors have reacted to the adjustments in the market. And so he shares a lot of strategies and tactics and tips that I think will be helpful to your business. I'm really looking forward to sharing this interview with you. So let's go ahead and get into the interview now. Dustin Miles, thanks for carving some time out of your day and spending a few minutes with us here on the podcast. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, really appreciate it.
So, to get us started, why don't you just give us a little bit of a background on yourself and how you got into this space?
Yeah, so I'll kind of turn back the clock to when I was about 8 years old. So I've always been pretty entrepreneurial. So I was a little kid, 8, 9 years old. I had a candy business. I bought and sold candy at school, and then I also did mowed lawns, bought and sold baseball cards. Basically, if there was a way to make money, I was trying to do it. But one thing that was, as I kind of look back and all that, was pretty interesting. So, I don't know, I guess I was maybe a weird kid, but I used to ride my bike around and just kind of wonder, who owned all of this real estate. And so I've played soccer my whole life, and fortunately still able to play today. And so one of the kids that I played with, so his parents owned a lot of real estate. They owned, and I think they still own today, a skyscraper in downtown Fort Worth. They own a lot of commercial property just in general. And I just remember, kind of at a young age, had met them and gone to their house. They had, a monster house, and I think, like, I don't know, like 8 or 9 bedrooms or something. But anyways, pretty big house. And so, that made a pretty big impression on me. And just meeting them and being like, okay, they're normal people, and like they eat, sleep, put on their clothes the
The
same way
normal
just like
stuff.
everybody else. Yeah, normal people. And so, because I always, I remember that kind of stuck with me. And then kind of fast forward, so I went to UT Austin for engineering school, and then get out of school, I'm flipping houses and doing rentals and stuff. And in I guess back up a little bit in college, I had an internet business, so just kind of throughout my life, I've had different businesses. But so I remember I was flipping houses and doing rentals, and then I was it was fine. Yeah, I made some money and all that, but I wanted to be able to scale, and so I was looking at actually. Looked at storage. Storage sounded appealing, and looked at multifamily. And so I remember I met a guy that at the time, I didn't know anyone else who owned more than, a few homes or duplexes or fourplexes, maybe about a rental portfolio of about 10. That was my exposure at the time. And this is like 2007, 6, 8, somewhere in that range. And so anyways, I met this guy and he owned 40 units. And so that which, you talk to different people today, oh, I own 10,000 doors, blah, blah, blah. But this guy owned 40 doors and he self-managed and he owned them. It's just him and his wife. And he was in Dallas and he owned in Oklahoma. And so just kind of, I was like, whoa, I hadn't met anyone, other than when I was a little kid, hadn't really met anyone that owned a substantial amount. So then I went to Lifestyles Unlimited. They, have a pretty big program. And so I met people there that, owned, 50 doors, 100 doors, maybe up to a few hundred doors is kind of where a lot of people topped out at the time. And so, just a lot of like, oh, if these people can do it, I can do it. And then I remember going to lunch with a guy that owned 10,000 doors and, still in kind of contact with him today. And it's kind of cool because we're competing on stuff. So, and then kind of my first foray in actual multifamily was actually 10 years ago. So I invested passively and I was a KP on the deal with a friend of mine. So I kind of got to walk through, the process and he didn't need me, but, he did it as we're friends. He did it more of a pay it forward and just a nice thing to do. But, so I went to due diligence and just kind of walked through the whole process with him. And I was like, I mean, he's a super sharp guy, it's, thousands of units and all that stuff. And so anyways, but I was like, hey, if my friend can do it, like, why can't I? And so, I'd hired a coach. I was in, Sunrock's program, started in his program in 2013 as part of his first group, but, started putting deals together and put first deal together in 2014. So 109 doors. And then I've done a total of 12 deals and sold 7 since then. There's definitely some people who've, gone, way past, what I've done. And then there's other people, who started winded and don't own anything. So anyways, but, and I used to work as a W-2 engineer, for a defense contractor. And so I've kind of, transitioned over this full time. So yeah, it's kind of how I got started.
Love it. Yeah, and I want to dive into a few pieces of that. The first being, uh, getting started back in 2013. I mean, clearly, you had hit this ceiling and realized that, hey, flipping houses and having a few, single family rentals, really wasn't scalable at the level that you wanted to. And so you started to explore alternatives. You mentioned getting involved in a networking group that sort of exposed, or at least opened your mind to what the possibilities could look like. And you started associating with people that were doing, this type of business at a higher scale than you were presently. How did you even come in contact with that networking group back then? I know that I'm asking you to go back quite a ways here, but I'm interested in like what was going on in your mind. I recognize that you knew you needed to scale and wanted to scale, so your mind started to think about storage and multifamily. And then you joined this networking group. Back then, it wasn't as common as it is today to get involved in these type of, educational and mentoring programs. What was it about that got you involved?
Yeah, so I heard about it from a friend of mine, and she was like, "Hey, you gotta go check it out." And they lifestyles, I don't know if they still are, but they were all over the radio then. And
Mm.
so, anyways, she was like, "Hey, you should go check it out." So I went, and that was my first real exposure to people. They talked about single family, but then they also talked about multifamily, and then they have case studies and all that, which definitely, once you see that, you're like, oh, if this, again, if I can, if they can do it, then I, feel like I can do it too. So, yeah, I think kind of that, the biggest thing and the exposure to the groups and probably kind of what you're, hitting on there, is, kind of that first step is, I believe I can do this. And so, because, if I don't believe I can do it, then why should anybody else believe I can do it? So, I think it's really that kind of mindset shift of, I think I can do this, and, can I do it alone? Yeah, probably not. I need help, but like, I think I can do this.
Yeah. And so, fast forward a little bit. Um, you, well, let me ask just this question. When did you leave your W-2 career?
I officially left last year. I was part time starting in 2018, and so I was just working 2 days a week there, and it was pretty cushy.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
So you did spend roughly 5 years W-2 while also pursuing real estate as well. Maybe
yeah.
speak to those that are in that stage, where maybe they're still hanging on to W-2 role, or, another, something else professionally that's taking up, a significant portion of their time while also pursuing, investing in real estate. Any insights you could share about your experience that might be helpful to someone in that space?
Yeah, so it's definitely a little different time than I would say. A lot of people didn't really partner up with each other, which is, now, it's not just two partners. It's, you see lots of teams and all that, especially as these deals have gotten bigger, just it kind of requires more people. So, the good thing is that, you don't have to really kind of go at it alone, which is frankly comforting. So I've kind of I've done it by myself, and I didn't really like it. It's I mean, not only is a lot of work and it's really stressful, but I don't know. I guess I've played soccer my whole life, and and just team sports. I like being in a team. So that's how maybe some people like kind of just doing it on their own. But now I'd say it's a little, like I said, a little bit different. There's teams of people, and so if you're in a W-2 situation, I would, just try and, you know, um, understand, your strengths, not only strengths, but, what do you actually have time for, and all that. If you're really wanting to do asset management, and, you're wanting to focus, I'll just pick on Texas. So that's where I'm at. But, and you're wanting to, asset manage in Texas, but then you live in, I'll just, New York City. That's a more, and you have a W-2, that's a more difficult, thing. So, I talked to a lot of people that are wanting to kind of get in and all that. I think, helping bring, capital to deals is definitely a way to kind of get your foot in the door. I know many people that help, bring capital, and they have other skills and other things they bring to the table as well. But that's part of it. And so they're helping bring capital and some other skills, and but still have that W-2 job. So it's, as far as, asset managing and all that, maybe if you're a realtor, and let's say you live in Texas, and so your time's a lot more flexible, or maybe you're, I'm just a fireman or whatever, to where you get a bunch of days off, maybe that would work. But if you're typical, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and I know multiple people who, what they do is help bring capital. So,
Yeah.
yep.
No, that's some good insight. So that a good segue into talking about the team. And you mentioned that for a period of time you did it on your own. You played, your background is in soccer and team sports, and so having a team was appealing to you. Talk to us a little bit about the formation of your team and the evolution of your business as it is today. Yeah, if you could just shed some light on that.
Yeah, sure thing. So I've been fortunate to team up with kind of multiple people over the years, and yeah, I think I've been in different team partnerships. Some of them where I was the newbie, and then some of them where I was the more experienced person. Some of them I wasn't that much more experienced, but just enough. And then others I was quite a bit more experienced than the other people. So um, I guess just one thing, pretty fortunate on because you see a lot of partnerships, and then you see a lot of different partnerships, where they shift teams and all that. Pretty fortunate, I would say that most of pretty much most of them I was kind of friends with
Mm.
before. So we kind of, I think, how it had that groundwork and foundation there, and so I think that probably helps some. But I guess fortunately and hopefully it goes both ways. I think it does, but all the different. I've probably been in 5 or 6 partnerships, since my since I started, and fortunately, I think we're not in partnerships currently, but I'd have no hesitation working with any of them. So.
Mm.
But the current, partnership have, under Momentum Multifamily, we got just got a really good team as far as how we came together and all that. Hayden, so business partners Hayden Harrington, and so he'd messaged me and he was like, "Hey, I have an idea for a meetup. You want to kind of join forces?" And we put this meetup together, and so that instead of going straight into deals and straight into a partnership, we hosted a meetup, for about a year, and we had a charity event, and so the charity event honestly was kind of like it's kind of like doing a deal. It was a lot of
Mm.
work, and it was really hard, and it was pretty stressful because you're wanting to help, and I'm on the board of the charity, and so like I want to I mean, I guess my ego came in a little bit, but I was hoping to bring a lot of money to those guys, and just wanting to just help support them as much as we could. So I felt a lot, felt pressure from that to perform, and so we did well and all that. But that was it was kind of that those meetups and that charity event was it was kind of a test run, honestly, for the partnership between Hayden and I, because we hadn't known each other as long, but we kind of had that year test run per se, and then we're like, hey, we work well together.
Yeah.
It's funny, we went and we had a webinar, and someone did we took this personality test, and we're like really really close to the same person, which is kind of funny. So
Interesting. So you mentioned that you're close from a behavioral profile perspective. Um, is there certain aspects of the business? How do you divide responsibilities inside of your relationship?
yeah, so I think we kind of bring some different skill sets to the table. Or initially, he was new to underwriting, and I'd been doing it for a while, so kind of he kind of got up to speed very, very quickly on that. And so he right now he does initial underwriting, and then we both just kind of, sit and take a look at it. So I kind of see it as my job, whenever he kind of brings the deal to me, my job is to shoot holes in it, and,
Hmm.
just why we shouldn't do the deal and blah, blah, blah. And so, obviously, as you do it, over a span of time and all that, and over a few years, you kind of that iteration process gets better and better and better, to where basically he underwrites a deal and shows it to me, and I'm like, well, it's pretty darn good to me.
Yeah.
So, but again, I see it as my job is to shoot holes in it, and hey, let's do this, or hey, let's maybe not do that. And it's always kind of a discussion and all that, but yeah, we both kind of handle the asset management. We'll kind of tag team, investor calls and all that. But we're looking to grow our team, grow our portfolio. So we'll, be looking to add some, team members in the near future.
And I'm sure as you grow, your responsibilities may diverge a little bit, whereas you're both sort of tackling the whole business together as, a partnership where there's a lot of overlap. My guess is that you'll probably start to be a little bit more particular about the areas of the business that you focus on. Is that fair
Yeah.
to say?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to transition a little bit and just talk about what you see on the horizon for your company. You guys have done an impressive amount of business thus far. As I mentioned in the intro, you've acquired over 1,900 units, roughly $180 million in assets purchased. You've taken 7 deals full cycle. So, what do you see in the climate of the market today for your business moving forward?
Well, so there's kind of a few things there. So, one, when people are looking at where to put money, it's like, well, everybody needs a place to live. So, that kind of sentiment, always kind of makes me feel good. At least is, I mean, we invest in our own deals, and I invest passively with other people too. So, really, bullish on the state of Texas, particularly in the major metros. You know, DFW, Austin, Houston always kind of lead the news in terms of growth and all that. So, really bullish on that. One thing that was pretty, obviously interest rates are moving around and all that. I don't, if I had a crystal ball, it broke a long time ago. So I don't know, what that'll look like. There's actually his podcast is called, I think, the Interest Rate Podcast, and he's speaking tomorrow in DFW, so I might go to that. But he's with Pensford, but yeah, JP Connolly.
Yeah, the rate guy. I'll give him a
Yeah, there you
shout
go.
out. The rate guy podcast. I follow it
Yeah,
as well. So yeah,
yeah,
he's got good
yep,
information, good insight.
yeah,
He's been wrong quite a few times, but he's at least got good
sure.
insight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So and so I'm gonna go listen to him. But we've listened to different economists and all that. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. My feeling, and been wrong many times before. Feeling is we're going to go through a few rate hikes, and then potentially they're either going to, hey, let's see what this looks like, because it's delayed, it takes a little while, or potentially they overhike, and then there's going to be a quick pullback. How deep that pullback is, I don't know, but whenever and I don't know if technically we're in a recession right now, but it's most likely, if we're not in one, we're probably will be in one soon. And so, they really only have that's their lever, is interest rates.
Hmm.
They need to be able to give themselves room to be able to, pull back down. So, well, sentiment is, I think we'll see, potentially higher interest rates for, 1 to 2 years, somewhere in that realm. And then, I think they're going to, come back down. Will they be in the, will they be as low as they were, last year? I don't know, but I think they'll be on the lower end of things, and so um, you
So
know,
so with with all that uncertainty, how does your uh, investing process change, or how has it changed to adapt to all the uncertainty? Because we've had an incredible run. You've experienced, I mean, you getting in 2013, there probably wasn't a better time for someone to get into multifamily, commercial multifamily investing over the
yeah,
last handful of years. So
Yeah.
But now things are starting to shift. There is uncertainty now. How has that shifted sort of your approach to doing your deals?
Yeah. I mean, so there was an economist that, his name escapes me right now. You want to buy when, cap rates are high and when interest rates are high. And then you want to sell when cap rates are low and interest rates are low. So, um, we kind of see this as, an opportunity. I mean, this isn't too different than maybe, I mean, not exactly, but maybe it's not too different than COVID and all that. I mean,
Mm,
obviously, the lending and debt market was a little wonky then. So I don't know. We tried to hedge our risk as much as we can, with interest rate caps. And so we know what our max rate is for, the next 3 years when we're, getting into these deals. So, that's kind of the way we're looking at it. I think you want to probably try and hold on to a little more cash and things like that in case you gotta re-up on your cap. But it'll be interesting for sure. But I think at the end of the day, where you want to buy in good locations, good parts of town, places where lower crime, you don't have a ton of bad debt or high delinquency or anything like that. So we're bullish on Texas. We're bullish on the major metros, and we think those are good spots to be in.
yeah. So, as the market has sort of shifted in the last couple months, and we're recording mid-May here. This will probably release a few weeks afterwards, near the end of May. But as the market has shifted, and there is quite a bit of uncertainty, how have your investors responded? Have you seen any adjustments in their behavior and maybe in their questions that they're, throwing at you as you present opportunities to them? I'm just interested in getting your perspective
Yeah.
from how your investors are reacting to the uncertainty.
I mean, we've seen just in general, and we're talking to investors every day. There's been a pretty strong response, just in terms of where are they going to put their cash, and inflation, and as interest rates go up, that's going to unfortunately kind of knock off a lot of those first time buyers who are then going to have to rent. So, and then you have inflation, and you have, the price to build and all that's continuing to go up. So I feel like that's a, good spot. I think a lot of, we do a lot of kind of educating, with investors and all that. And we have networking events to where, we had one last night, and every room, the major topic was interest rates. And so we just kind of, gave, similar, feedback to what I've given here. That, I mean, the time to buy is when, the time, I mean, I think multifamily in Texas is a good bet, just kind of in general, but, it's a really good time to buy when, rates start to go up and all that. So I think there's going to be some good opportunities out there. Lots of people have done bridge lending for the last few years, and so if they didn't maybe come in as capitalized or didn't have reserves and things like that, could be some interesting opportunities. We saw. One I'll just kind of mention, we did see one opportunity more recently, and it was because of supply chain. So they had they'd forced they didn't renew a bunch of people. And so they were going in to do the rehabs. Well, I guess they didn't check on appliances. They didn't check on some other things, and they
Mm,
had some major delays, and they basically booed a bunch of people out. And so they were in the 70s in terms of occupancy. It's nice deal, nice area. Everybody else 95%. So, there's, I think, it won't be that exact same thing, but I think, the rising interest rates will, the tides are pulling back a little bit. And
Hmm.
so if you're not in a place of strength and you're not, you're low on cash and things like that, and you're just not prepared, I think, there's going to be some opportunities out there.
Yeah,
So.
makes sense. Well, this has been a great conversation thus far. I've appreciated your insights. Maybe as we start to wind down here, I have one other topic I want to cover, and that's more just on the operations side of things, asset management. You had mentioned that you and your business partner, together sort of tackle the asset management side of things. What are the biggest challenges that you're facing in the market right now as it relates to asset management? And how have you guys sort of structured your business to manage your assets?
One kind of variable that, so I guess kind of showing, background of, engineering and math and all that. But so in terms of just, so we're trying to take risk out as much as we can. So we're trying to take variables out. And so one thing that we've done, or two things we've done, is the our general contractor that we work with. They're also on our part of the general partnership, and they're investing passively in the deal. And so, not only are we, getting, I don't know, 100%, but I assume we may be getting a little more priority over
Hmm.
some other people. So we're able to get, bids quickly, and we, he's great guy. Communication's awesome. And so anyways, but so that's, that kind of partnership has helped kind of take some risk and some variables out, because we're not having to go through, we're not trying one vendor and then that doesn't work and then we waste money there and then we got to try another vendor and
Hmm.
delays and all that. So so that's one thing that's, I would say, helped us, quite a bit. We're big into on the asset management side with leasing and all that. We're pretty big. At least this is how I am. I like a carrot, and I'll chase a carrot, and so and that was one thing that just, frankly, kind of bugged me about the W-2 world was there. I didn't really have a carrot out there. So with
Mm-hmm.
this business, there's a carrot. So we kind of do, the same thing with our managers is there's incentives. Hey, you hit this and there's, some nice bonuses, attached with that. Some other things that we like to do. So we have all of our staff members, we have all of their birthdays. And
Mm-hmm.
so when it's their birthday, we always, send them something. The one thing that I think we might do to kind of take it to the next level is trying to understand, what's their favorite food or dessert and stuff like that, and kind of hone it in a little bit. But we do that. Bonuses. We like to do fun events, for the kiddos and for our tenants and all of that. So, because frankly, I mean, without them, we don't
Yeah.
have the business. So, so really just try to take care of them. But at the end of the day, accountability, relationships, and in our minds, we just kind of, we take care of our residents, take care of our staff, and everything else kind of falls into place. So.
Yeah. Great mindset to have on that side of things. I did want to touch on, the benefits of having your contractor be a part of the deal. You clearly explained why there's a benefit there. Obviously, he's invested in the deal. He's got some added motivation to
Yep.
be right on top of your project. That being said, there's probably the other argument that, hey, if you're not in alignment with the right contractor and he's invested in the deal, if you need to make some changes, that's going to be a significant challenge, right? So, for someone, I guess the question that I would ask is, I'm assuming that this relationship has been built. You have a pretty good sense of how this guy performed before you decided to, have him be able to not only be the contractor on the deal, but also invest in the deal with you.
Yeah, I've worked with him on other deals before he was, part of, kind of part of the team. So I've worked with him for the last, uh, I guess about 4 years or so. So kind of, did a lot of that before kind of initiating this. So, and then also I didn't mention, but my business partner, so Hayden actually offices with him.
Mm,
So you can literally walk, 10 feet and, hey, where's the bid?
yeah,
So, but
yeah,
I mean, he's super great guy. I mean, my birthday was on Sunday and had a birthday brunch and, he was there. And so,
yeah.
got a really good relationship with him. So
Yeah, and it sounds like that's critical, right? And the reason why I make that point is you probably aren't you probably don't want to just jump right into having your contractor or even your property manager, investing alongside you in a deal. But you've taken the time to build that relationship, and you and your team are just very relationship driven. Like everything that you do is with people that you've built long term relationships with, and so I can see the value in that. Well, look, I've kept you quite a while here, and I want to start winding down, but got a few final questions for you. The first is, what's the biggest challenge that you're facing right now in your business that we could all learn from?
I don't, yeah, I'm not sure if I have anything I can answer. Our, lender draws can sometimes take a little bit longer. And so if you've been in, a number of deals, you probably, have experienced that. I guess one thing as far as, cause a lot, the name of the podcast, Lead Sponsor Podcast. And so as far as someone, potentially wanting to kind of break in and be a GP or co-GP, I think it's all about, being able to bring value. And so, and that's, whether you end up being the lead sponsor or not, I think, helping, bring capital and some other skills to a team it's always needed. All these deals require a heck of a lot of capital. So, I think being good at that. And so, there's different ways of being able to do that. That's, you can start a podcast, like you've done. You can start a Facebook group. You can do, Zoom meetups. There's a lot of different avenues um, and I think, like we mentioned at the beginning, I think the biggest thing is, just believing that you can do this is kind of that first step, and then it's the Jim Rome quote of you're the average of the five people you hang around. So then go, if it's something you're wanting to do, go hang around the people that already do what you want to do. And one thing I've done in my life, and I didn't, make it up. I just followed what a lot of other people done. So I've, if there's something I want to do, then, I either partner up with people or I hire a coach or both. And so, that's what I did in multifamily, did both. I'm gotten into running and gotten into weightlifting. So I have coaches, for those too. So, so I don't know. Hopefully
Those are
that.
some, well, I appreciate that. Those are some great final thoughts. In addition to the running and everything else, the soccer as well. You mentioned you're still playing soccer. Is that right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And fairly competitive, or just on the side with some friends?
No, I mean we're in a league. I was on a few teams. Now I'm on one team. It's a co-ed and it's competitive. I mean they're pretty good, but yeah, it's funny. I've played, and this is indoor. I've probably played a few thousand games by now. And I'm very fortunate. I get excited before every single one.
Yeah,
So weird. I'm like,
that's
I don't
great.
know. It's fun. So
That's
I love
great.
it.
Good
Yeah.
for you. Well, look, Dustin, I appreciate you carving out some time out of your day. I know you've got a deal and a couple other projects that you're working on, and I appreciate you spending some time with us. Before I let you go, what's the best way for our listeners to connect with you and learn more about what you have going on?
Yeah, our website is momentummultifamily.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Dustin, middle initial W, last name is Miles, like miles per hour. And then I'm on Instagram as well. So, warning, if you go to my Instagram, you're going to see weightlifting, running, probably some soccer, and then my son. So
Love it.
I
Well, hey, that's
apologize.
good. You actually get to know, when someone's posting the personal stuff, that's when you actually get to know them a little bit. So glad that
Yeah.
you're putting that stuff out there. Well, again, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you sharing some insights with us into your past experience and how you've gotten into the space and really accomplished some impressive things over the last roughly 10 years. 1,900 units. $185 million in real estate purchase. Like that doesn't happen overnight. It's not easy. And even those that really want to and have had a long track record don't always get there. And so, congratulations on what you guys have accomplished thus far. And I look forward to staying in touch with you down the road.
Thank you. Appreciate it.